Hello and welcome to episode 2, season 2 of the Let's Face It podcast. This is my journey with Chris Kerr. This episode is proudly sponsored by Mercury Security and Facilities Management. They deliver high quality, cost effective security and facilities management solutions for all business sectors. If you're about the Kennedy Centre and you see them as Mercury Security, they look after all lemons and a lot of shopping centres throughout Belfast and of course Ireland as well. So a huge thanks to Liam Cullen, his father Frank Cullen and the whole Cullen family for their support for this episode and also for my continued support throughout. It's greatly appreciated and it wouldn't be possible without you, so thank you. Welcome Chris, what's the crack?
All good, big man.
You're one of very few guests that I've had on, I suppose over the last 12 episodes that I actually know. So I don't know whether that's easier or harder, I don't know, because every time I see you I just have a laugh with you, so.
I just don't know if that's something you want to be associated with either, like that, you know me, like it's better not.
But you know Chris, you're like, we played together in 2016 in the Antrim panel, the football panel, and we actually used to travel up train and stuff together with CJ and some good crack. And one of the stories comes back it made for me, we were sitting in the Ace Bath in Jordanstown one night and I get into the Ace Bath and it was probably one of my first times in an Ace Bath and I'm, Chris, do you think this will affect me having kids? Like,
oh my god, I didn't know where you were going there. Once you mentioned you and CJ in the one car, I was going to say, what is going to happen here? But I remember sitting after that going, what is this big man right in the head here, like, or what? Like, it was like I think I went to Frank Ross and said, that man's head's gone now. He's getting his first ice bath and he's questioning whether he can have babies, like.
No, it used to be some crack, like, I know it, and I suppose like after that we sort of broke off and broke away and we both went through hardships of our own, like, and we've both sort of well documented our stories and our personal struggles, and I suppose a lot of people have got a lot from it, like, you know. You're a very successful man in terms of sporting world, I suppose, and in your work life now. You know, 8 championships with St Gall's, 2 Ulster championships, club championships, and of course an All-Ireland club. You know, you had an amazing Antrim career. How long did you play for Antrim for?
First year was 2007, and then the couple of obviously I'd done the knee twice, so missed 2 years, and then I decided to miss a really good year. Was 2009 when we got the Ulster final, so that was a good one to miss, obviously. Just die from, like, it just draws you back in every time. Like I'm 36 now, and even there, like up till a couple of weeks ago, speaking with Andy, he was wanting me to give it a go again and want me back in, but I just think now, like, I'm 36, live in Armagh now, have a newborn baby. You know, the goalposts, no pun intended, have moved or have changed, like, so I loved every minute of it. Like, obviously with St Gall's, just like, you know, like, it's only when you like probably move to the likes of Armagh and you know, and I mean, obviously I play for Ballymacnab now too, like, but you go to clubs that they're just craving for one. You know, they're just.
Tell me about it.
well, I heard about St John's, like, for so long, about 7 in a row, but so I had to do something about that one. But it was so many people crave one, or even get to a final or whatever, and you know what that team at St Gall's done wasn't. It's only now when you look back that it has ended, like that era has ended, that it probably wasn't normal what we were doing. It was, I think someone said we'd lost one game in 72 Antrim club knockout championship games, like, which is crazy, like, when you think of it, like, so it was just it was unreal. And then with Antrim, like, it was probably like, you know, we don't probably get the headlines or the you know, maybe the top teams get, you know, the Tyrones this world or Limerick hurlers we were chatting about earlier, but you know, I think I played maybe over 100 times for Antrim, was captain one year, you know, I think I was the first goalkeeper to score for Antrim. You know, had some really brilliant days out with Antrim too, like, so I'm proud of all of it, like, so, and I would do it all again in a heartbeat too, like.
Yeah, I know, and sometimes when you're driving up to Jordanstown there on a Tuesday or Thursday night in the dark nights, you're just questioning yourself, going, what am I doing here? But you know, it does make it all worth it. But we'll dive back into the start, like, and how it all started off, and I suppose you know, and the big figures that you have had in your life, one being your father, like, of course. But how did you sort of get into St. Gall's and start off playing football?
Suppose it was I had two neighbours. You know one of them well. You know both of them well, like. But Jackie Webb would live 2 doors up from me, like.
Legend.
And he's probably the most passionate GA man you'll meet. So I probably didn't have a choice with Jack up the street. I was friends with his son John from no age. And then it's only now when you say it out loud, like, you know, there was no, like, you just jumped on a minibus on a Saturday morning. No form saying your man now were throwing you to the bottom of the gate, and you were 5 or 6 jumping on the back of some bus and going to St. Gall's. And it just kicked off from there. Like, it was, you know, and then there's maybe like 15 or 20 lads in the street that were all the same. And they, it just went from there. And then you go into school, and then you can make one of my best mates, Michael McMullen, would have played the whole way up, and then obviously CJ and stuff like. So that was our era, Sean Burke, and that. So it just rolled on from there. Like, that's how it started with St. Gall's, really. Like. And
then I suppose, like, what primary school did you go to?
St. John the Baptist. Too.
And then St. John the Baptist, and then I suppose you going into Salle. Probably at a time where Salle was booming for Gaelic sports. Like, I didn't get to witness that, but what I did witness was that ethos and that sort of connection of, like, I don't think anyone else would really understand if it didn't go to Salle. You know, automatically we have a connection because we both went to Salle, even though we grew up being sort of rivals, and it'd be the same for the likes of Cian McGordy and CJ and we've mentioned there. Like, how much did Salle impact you, not only like as a footballer, like, but as a person? And
unbelievable. Like, I mean, like, them teachers now, a lot of them are obviously moved on from when I was there, but they just, you know, the Stephen Ramseys, you know, Sean McGordy's, Ali McGilly, obviously I'm naming all PE teachers, but
you can't forget about the famous Buki now.
Buki, I'll tell you all about Buki in a minute. He tried to poach me to Lamderg, like, but didn't go well for him. Frank Maguire, God rest him, was my form teacher who drove the minibuses for St. Gall's. And me didn't have a clue. I was about 11 and he was my form teacher. I says, here, Mr. Buchanan's asked me to go to Lamderg. And he just looked down the glasses and got up off the desk and went across, like, literally out in the corridor, and they had it out in the corridor. And I remember going, he's going to hate me forever, like, but then I knew he'd hate me forever anyway, playing for the Gauls against Lamderg, like. But the teachers it was unbelievable, like, as you say. Like, you went to the open nights and you just, like, obviously just being sport mad, you were just like PE department, looking at all the sports teams, hearing of all the people that played locally. You know, the Scooses of this world, Brian Close. Like, I remember Brian Close doing our awards thing and just being like, he could have been Cristiano Ronaldo for, like, we were first or second year. And even, like, I remember clear as day, Terry O'Neill was probably one of the first, I think he was the first football all-star LaSalle got, and he was sitting in front of me at the presentation getting his award at the awards night, and I remember sitting behind him going, like, he was with his man Daniel, going, like, I guess it's unreal, like, he plays for St. Gall's, and I was just sitting there, like, little did I know, and little did he know probably that he would be, he'd be thinking, this Malder's stuck in our team for the next amount of years too, like. But it was just that sort of place, and as you say, like, it didn't matter if you were St. John's, played for the Lambs, Sarsfield, St. Gall's. Once you were in there and you were in them colours, like, it didn't matter, like, it was just something different. That, you know, you looked at all the other schools, maybe all the facilities, all the other stuff, but, like, you can't coach or train what that environment or what that school gave to so many of us, like. And I think it's a big reflection that through the last sort of 15, 20 years, you look at the players that went on to play for Antrim that went to LaSalle too, like, which is testament to them teachers too, like.
And it definitely, like, and even the feelings that I've had for LaSalle, it's very, very strong, and the impact that the individuals within the school, like, I've had on me, like, and I'm sure you're the same, as stood to me, like. And I suppose it probably, like, whenever you're in school and whenever you're that age, you're sort of like rebellious and stuff like that, and you don't really appreciate it. But I didn't even probably fully appreciate it until I actually went to rehab, you know, and I had the hand to sit down and think about people and what they'd done for me, and especially in them teenage years where I did get it tight, like. So, you know, the impact that them teachers did have was phenomenal. Like, it's not just sport, as you say, because we both did go on to play for Antrim, or we're both. I'm hopefully going to do well, and you have done well, like. So, like, nah, it's a huge testament to them, and like even people like Buki and stuff. Like, it's just at the time you think he's a melter, like, but now looking back, you go, Jesus,
can't put a price on it, like,
literally.
You know
like,
what he done, like the Santa hat aerobics and all. I think everyone has the fear of doing that, and you know, even I remember Stevie Ramsey getting through me a couple of times for like absolute shortcut, like, and just, you know, you wouldn't have thought anything of it, like, you just were like. I remember Sean McGordy is actually a funny quote, like, he used to throw me out of class the odd time. Obviously, my vocals would be a bit loud, like, obviously, you know, like, but he used to just throw me out of class, and on the way out, he just, you wouldn't get away with that, but he used to just shout at me and say, Curzo, you're the second biggest dickhead in this road, because our Kevin's the biggest arsehole I met. Now get out of class. And I used to just be walking out of class going, know whether to be offended here or not, like, or what way it is. And then, you know, I was upper sixth, and CJ's class was lower sixth, and then I'd be up in the library or the what do you call it, the study. And then like 15 minutes later, CJ would be landing in. He'd be like, what are you doing here? And be like, my dad threw me out of class. So like, you know, that wouldn't go on now. Like, obviously it'd be probably court cases and all that. Like, but it was that sort of stuff that you could go away and just go like, it was brilliant. Like, and you wouldn't change it. Like, wouldn't change any of it. Like,
no, it's class. And then suppose did you go out then finish school, went to university?
I went to Jordanstown, and then 2 days after my A levels, I broke my leg. So wasn't driving at the time. Didn't really I was full cast up to my hip to ankle, like, at the time. Broke it playing five-a-side, and then just didn't enjoy it. Obviously, that attitude, like, so. Was doing property development, you know, like, for a fella that struggled building Lego, like, you know, me developing property wouldn't be great, like. So I ended up going to Belfast Met and done sports science, and then went to Preston, finished the degree in it, and then just went from there, and ended up in NI on the back of it, like, for a while too, like. So but I was like, again, Belfast Met was a bit like Salle and that sort of tighter community, like, and played Sigerson and all for Belfast Met, was first team to play and stuff, like, so all that stuff, same sort of, like, I really enjoyed it, like, and again, Preston played in British Championships and stuff, like, so it was as enjoyable, like, as going there, like.
Yeah, and I think even like being involved with GA, you can sort of go anywhere, can't you? Like, especially over in England and stuff, and it's sort of like you fit in automatically with different types of people and communities, and it stands to us, like, doesn't it? Like,
big time. You can carry it anywhere, like.
Yeah. Right, and I suppose we'll get into
you're the boss,
the nitty gritty of it. And I suppose, like, you started up a page, head of Health Matters, Chris, off the back of, you know, mental health and well-being, and I suppose, like, you were probably the first of many doing that type of thing, like, from what I can sort of remember, coming out and being open and honest, you know, as far as like men are concerned, in that sort of generation. Tell me a wee bit more about your journey in terms of your father and how difficult things were for you.
So, like, I'll start from there first. Like, so obviously, like, Dad was diagnosed with cancer in 2012, July 2012, and then I always remember. It was the 3rd of July. We had a friendly with Antrim that night against. We played down over in Carryduff, and it was lashing rain. I remember coming home from work. I knew he had to go to the hospital. He went for a scan that day, and I didn't hear from my ma, so I was just getting black taxis and buses up and down, and I was working in town. And when I didn't hear anything from her all day, I just was starting to go, something's not right here, like. So as soon as I come home, literally can see it as clear as day, like, just mum meet me at the door, you know, eyes looked teary, and she had told me that Dad had cancer, but it didn't really, like, I went like at a 15, as you do, like, I got home at like maybe 5:45, was getting picked up for this friendly at 6. It was probably not that much time to turn around and ring people or ring a manager, and that stage I didn't know the ins and outs of it, so I didn't just say, here, I'm not going to a match, or I'm just not landing in. So it didn't really digest it. I just sort of went into him and was like, asked him, was he alright? And then he was like, I'd be grand, and like typical the way he would have been, downplaying everything. I suppose in my head I always thought he was a big smoker anyway, so he would have smoked maybe 40 a day, and it was the cool thing to do then, maybe, of smoking during that era or whatever. But I just had in my head he'd be one of these people that just smoked, he was about 90 and just survive it or whatever. But So only then he went back then. A couple of days later, got the scan, and they were able to say that it was terminal. And basically, it was actually, again, you're talking about GA connections. The consultant was a lady from Lougheed, so like you're able to have the crack there and then as well. And just you're talking about them connections. She was very good to him, like, but she was just like this could be either 9 months or 3 years, depending on what it would be. And then wasn't long after that then that he started treatment, chemotherapy, radiotherapy. I suppose you're in the house, you're going like you're talking about, just even men with mental health like are speaking about it, but like you're in the house, you're 6'4", you're playing Gaelic football, you're all like it's I was 20, it was 26, like you're not really one for walking about hugging your dad at that age either, like, you know, or like, so like you're seeing him going up and down, having good days, bad days with the treatment, responding well to it. Probably the big thing for him was he was bald anyway, but he didn't lose any hair, so it didn't look as as drastic as it does with some people when they lose all their hair. So he was up and down. They went back in November then, and they says, look, it's as good as it can be. It's shrunk by a couple of centimetres. Come back in March and we'll see how you are. And then in around Christmas that year, 2012 that was, so he got this really bad toothache where like his face like swole out. It was like that scene from The Godfather with a broken jaw nearly, like it looked like really, really swollen out. And this was plaguing him for a couple of weeks. They couldn't take it out because he was taking the chemotherapy and stuff. So he had lost a lot of weight then, like he lost 3 or 4 stone in the space of maybe 6 weeks. And then he was sort of not complaining, but he was saying that he was sort of losing power to his arm, and his GP was actually Peter Murphy from Rossa, who is an amazing GP. You know, he was so good with him, calling at our house, like my GP, like it's as people would say now, like it's hard to get appointments and all, like, but Peter was landing in, you know, random times, just calling in to see how he was on the way home from work, on the way to work. It sort of came that it's probably a sign that it's come back somewhere. So he went for a scan again. It showed, this was January, it showed that it came back aggressively in the brain, kidney, stomach, just it had spread everywhere. And then sort of next couple of weeks he was just deteriorating, and then the last week he went in the hospital, and then passed away then on the 24th of February 2013. So they had told him in November, come back in March, we'll see how you are, like, and then within that space of time he just rapidly went downhill, like. So it just shows you how ruthless it can be, like, and it takes no prisoners, like. Suppose then, like, for me, in between that, you're sort of going, you're helpless. All you can be is like, you know, you're asking, are you all right? Is there anything you can do? Trying to do as much as you can. But you're ultimately it's a waiting game. Like you're up and down. It's like a roller coaster. I've explained it a few times. Like you're seeing him having good days, bad days. You're not really sure, and then think in the back of your head, you're always going, like, what if this happens, or if it's, you know, I always had in my head anyway, I was going, he's going to beat this, like, just like probably just trying to be as positive anyway, that he's going to beat this and he's going to come out the other side of it, and then obviously it wasn't to be, like, but I think for me, like, just it's the helplessness that you can't do anything about it, like, you know, as much as you want to help, it's just, you're just hoping that it helps, like. And then probably from it, at the time I was working like, you know, temporary contracts, like, you know, through recruitment agencies, you know, like 52-week contracts here and there or whatever. So like I was back to work maybe like, or well, even I went back to Antrim training. His funeral was the Wednesday. I went to Antrim training on the Thursday. I just wanted to throw myself back into it because I was like, I'm not one for sitting about the house anyway, like obviously like just being active, but it was like I need out of the house here, like, so I went to Antrim training on the Thursday and actually played against Fermanagh on the Saturday then, like 3 days later. So probably in hindsight I've seen photos of me since, like, you know, off that game and all, like, and it was like, you know, sheet white, like, got a tooth knocked out, just obviously concentration levels were all over the place, like, but yeah, it was a bit, I threw myself back in there and then was back to work a week later. So like it's only now when I look back and think I didn't give myself any time to digest anything and went back into it all. Just because you had to, because if you didn't work in a temporary contract, you didn't get paid or whatever. So it's just like I need to go. I'll go back and all, and then that just continued on. Was back with Antrim. Obviously trying to train, play, and then as time went on, it just was 2013. As time went on, like it just felt it getting worse and worse. Like it was just like, just you were more irritable. You know, you were going through all those different phases now. Like it's only in hindsight, like where I can look back and go, like I was going through all them phases of grief, of anger, being sad, guilt, all these different things. Like, you know, I should have had that last conversation, or I should have went for a cup of tea, something, you know, all this thing, and you start like, it just goes under the magnifying glass, like where it's like you're making things far worse than what they are, like, and I think that's what really sort of started spiraling with me. Like my thinking was really like, you know, it was so like over the top, like I was making mountains out of molehills, you know, really like assassinating myself like for every walk of life, like bar football, like, and then like football was always an escape. I was going to training. Like there was times I remember you were saying about like car sharing, like I would have went to train with Mickey Pollock and CJ times at the time. Like I remember like 10 minutes before they collected me, I was lying in my room, like crying my eyes out, duvet over my head, and then within 10 minutes I was dressed and in the car and joking and, you know, being the mouthpiece that I am and able to deflect it. So I was doing all that, and then probably just going to play matches and training, and was a good distraction. But then it was probably, had never given myself any time to deal with it, like, so it continued. I was getting worse and worse, starting to feel suicidal, and then this became just my constant thought. I was thinking about it like more than I wasn't, if you know what I mean, like, so I was thinking about it every, like, how can I make this look like an accident, like a car crash, or, you know, trip out in front of traffic, fall into a river, something, I don't know. I was thinking all these thoughts, constant, and then I was getting to the stage where I was like, I'm actually going to do something to myself. It sort of probably came to a head was the last match in Casement. We played Monaghan, roasting day, and near a full house in Casement, and I was standing in the nets with near tears streaming down my face. Now, like, I'm standing in the nets anyway, and the game's going on, but I was just thinking, going, I need to be lying in the house here, I need to be under a duvet, I don't want to be here. And then I think you just become, like, peer pressure. A match happens, you go out after a match, you go, you know, I get really bad hangovers as it is, but these hangovers were feeling worse. A couple of lads in the round, I had booked like a couple of days off, as you do after, and a couple of lads organised a bit of a Monday club. I was thinking, I knew I shouldn't have went. I knew I shouldn't have put myself in that position, but it was easier to go than it was to explain to 8 or 9 fellas, like, and that there's, you know, the downfall of it. I was like, I'll just go here, like, and just get on with it. And I remember it got to about 2 o'clock in the day, sitting at what do you call it? Bar, not Canary Wharf. Colours Wharf. Colours Wharf's in the Canary Wharf.
The Grand Canary.
Colours Wharf, Grand Canary. Colours Wharf, just sitting around the table, roasting day in the middle of June, and all I was thinking was just, I could be at the bottom of that river before any of these things react. I remember just going like, what am I doing? Like, took myself off the toilet, had a bit of a meltdown. Remember getting into a taxi now. I'd love to meet the fella now, like, but I remember getting into the back of his car and lying across the back seats, roaring like in a state. And he dropped me home, and it was about, say, 3 o'clock in the day, not a cloud in the sky, and I closed the curtains and slept then the next day. And obviously you know as well, like, but be quite active on Twitter. And I remember saying before, like, just was scrolling through Twitter as you do, and like the GPA post like their helpline numbers, and I remember just scrolling through it, and I was going like, I need to ring that number. Like, this is like, I'm not a holy person, like, but it was like, is this like a sign for me to do this? Like, and then because the posted on Twitter and it sort of linked to Facebook, so if you go on either app, it was in your timeline. So I was like, I need to ring these ones, and I remember just ringing and hanging up. As you know, like, I like the sound of my own voice, but I couldn't speak. I was just like ringing and hanging up. The guy on the other end was probably like, who is this absolute maniac that's ringing here, like. And then eventually had the phone on speaker and just let him speak back and just told him how I was feeling. And yeah, that just sort of kickstarted it, like.
It's powerful, isn't it? Every time, like, even I hear that story, like, and the way you talk about it, and it hits home, like, you know. And I suppose, like, it's something, and Ashley McConville said it before to you, like, it's everyone goes through grieving, and not really anyone knows how to deal with it.
I know.
And, you know, I can relate to you in a lot of ways of being that sort of the big lad and sort of not centre of attention, but you're very much the person who gets the room going or gets the change room going, whether it's for a laugh or whether it's for motivation or to do well. And to keep that act going for that certain amount of time is a difficult thing to do. Like, and I've said it before a couple of times about, you know, that TV advert, when your man's out partying and stuff in the club and he comes home and he's in front of the mirror and he just pulls the mask off. Yeah. And I can only imagine that's what your life was like at that time too.
It was, and it was hard at the time too, because like I was like, you were playing with Antrim, but like we ran our pump with St Galls too, like going for, you know, 7, 8 in a row championships, like. So you were like, I don't want to be the one that derails that by letting anything get in the way. So in a way I could get myself right for that 1 hour or so. But you say, like, it's like, in a weird way, I always remember, like, after one Antrim matches, me and you sort of were chatting, and we both never, like, I've never even said this to you, but we both never came out with it, but we were sort of telling each other something, but without saying anything, like, if you know that, without being as clear as we are now, like. But I always remember that it was after one of the matches, like, everyone was going out after a match, and I remember that clear as day, just as I was driving here as well, like. But again, it's like, it's probably like at some stage, people either listening or in general, like, you either have or will lose a parent at some stage. And it's like someone that was in my life for 26 years. So when that happened, it was just like, you know, it was a complete shock to the system, like.
And very, very, very hard to take. And I suppose, like, you know, ringing that number in the GPA, like the GPA, we'll go into the GPA and what they actually do, and I suppose, like, with this podcast there will be a lot of GAA players and stuff coming in and listening. Like, the work that the GPA does saves people's lives, and there's no two ways about it. And it helps enhance people's lives in terms of the career development and stuff like that. They do fantastic work, no doubt about it. But on the other side of it, they have a 24-hour helpline where you can ring this number at any time and you can get help and counselling and stuff like that. Like, you know, even for me, coming out of rehab, they got me into rehab firstly. Coming out of rehab, got counselling for as long as I wanted, you know, and even continuing today, like, in terms of my career development and stuff, want to help me, like. So you've taken action, I suppose, is the big word here, the big couple of words here, sorry, for anyone who is struggling, like, taking that first step and taking that action and contacting the GPA. Like, how much did the GPA really help you, and how much is it even helping you today? Like,
I know, like, it's just like, it's probably like, say, like, I love the sound of my own voice, like, and say, like, I love how always in the middle of crack and joking and all, but like, I was like, how can I say this out loud to someone? And then, but the relief I got, like, that first phone call, like, I didn't even really go into much, but I was able just to say, I'm struggling, wanting to, my overwhelming thoughts are, I'm going to end up doing something to myself here, silly, and I want to do something about it, because I think the thing that sort of pulled me back from going to that age was probably my mum, because, like, it was like she's lost her husband of 30 years, and if I done something to myself, what would that do to her, like, do you know? And I think when I was like, and it was getting to the stage where I was starting to plan things or getting towards that, like, of doing it, and then eventually doing that, and then the GPA set me up with counselling within 48 hours. Again, went to meet the guy. It's actually in Clonard Monastery at the side of the building, and roasting day. And I don't know what it is with me and roasting days and not wanting to be there, like, but must be the first skin. But I remember going to meet him and sitting in the car park and had a message typed to say, like, you know, I've had car trouble, I can't make it. I was like, am I going to go in? I've never done something like that before. And then when I went in, spoke to the guy for about 55 minutes about football, and then the last sort of 2 or 3 minutes just sort of blurted out that I was struggling, and I wanted to do something about it. And even just doing that at the end, driving away, like, was just such a relief. Like, it was like, and then as time went on, as you say, GPA's attitude is whatever it takes. I'm alright, mate. Is whatever it takes. So I maybe went to counselling then every Saturday. It was probably about 18 months. This was like, I was going to counselling on the Saturday, like, say, an hour before I was meeting up with the Antrim team to go like an away match or playing home games and stuff. But it was something I needed to do. And sort of done that for a while, tried medication through a GP. Again, it probably just didn't work for me. Like, and I know plenty of people that it's worked really well for. It just didn't agree with me. And then I probably got my biggest sort of, not relief, but biggest help from was CBT counselling.
Yep.
So I said earlier, my thing was I was making mountains out of molehills. I was crucifying myself in every walk of my life. So it was like
nearly like a self-destruction. Like, was unbelievable. Like, one wee thing could have went wrong, and I was, like, I'm still living at home. All my mates are getting married, moving houses. I'm all this, and just like I'm not in a permanent job. It was a lot of just it was complete and utter self-destruction. Any wee kick out didn't go to the millimetre. Kicking lumps out of posts, near breaking my foot. And then like one like could have hit 19 out of 20 kickouts, and I would have been thinking about that one kickout for about 3 days. And it was so detrimental to us. Like, so I think the CBT I went to it for a good wee while, and it's probably more just to like manage your thoughts and not let them spiral out of control. Like, it's like, but things do happen, like, and there was like, just live in the present. If something bad happens, not bad, but like if you don't have a good day or a good 20 minutes of work, it doesn't mean a bad day. It's a bad 20 minutes. Like, you've 23 other hours to make it a good one. So I think just carrying it forward, and just sort of continued it on. And I suppose it was probably about 5 years later then that I thought, obviously being from West Belfast like yourself, like, all you were really hearing about was mental health issues and suicide rates within young men, and I was like, I was fed up lifting the Irish news or Andytown news or reading about it on social media. So it was just like, and at the time it sort of kept a journal of everything, or like each day, and then sort of summarised it or put it all together, and then just thought it was fighting with myself for ages, like, going, will I do this? Like, because it's, I think the biggest fear was always putting it out there and someone saying something. On the pitch or something, like during a match, or using it against you. But it probably took me about 5 years then just to get myself right before I decided that, like, I could maybe try and help someone else along the line too. And I suppose that is a big thing, like to be able to help others, you have to be able to have that relationship and with yourself, and be able to love yourself, and be able to be comfortable in your own skin again, and to be able to not beat yourself up and stay in the present. Like, all these things are all tools, like proper life skill tools that you've learned through CBT and counselling. And the big one, in my opinion, is experience. And I can relate to every single one of them things. Like, and we call it in QMR imaginative functioning. Creating the things in your head, like that are total non-reality. Like, so you put like fear, and I was talking to Kieran May last week about fear. About fear being an emotion rather than an actual thing. So you just feel afraid. It's just like being happy, and these different things. And one of the things that I had with fear was false evidence appears real, FEAR, and it's all these things going on in your head. But whenever you do hear yourself talking, as you say, you like the sound of your own voice, but whenever you do hear yourself talking, it nearly answers a lot of them questions for you, like, in terms of, I am being a wee bit silly here in terms of the way I'm thinking, because whenever I do open up and talk, and what you're doing now, and spreading and creating that awareness, almost makes you feel like you have a purpose again, and you can actually help people because you have lived through these experiences. Like, but no, that's powerful, and I think whenever you do get that understanding of yourself, it's a really, really good place to be in, because then you're not going, Jesus, comparing yourself to other people, like he's better than me, or he has better car, better house, or he got married or something in front before me, so being comfortable in your own skin's a big thing, but it just doesn't happen overnight, as me and you both know, like, and sometimes, like, you, as you say, like, your comfortable place was maybe being underneath that duvet, you know, and with the curtains closed, like being comfortable with the uncomfortable, you know, being comfortable in them bad situations that you know, find out that you shouldn't be like in them situations. So, you know, that takes serious inner work. And I think, in my opinion, the hardest thing for a human being to do is to dig deep inside themselves and actually say what's really going on here with themselves, especially men, like, and you've done it.
And I think it's more like, you know, you have to want to do something about it too.
100%.
You know, and I think even, you know, obviously yourself even dealing with addictions, you know, it's, and people are saying, like, when it probably was becoming more obvious to a couple of people, you need to do something about it. And I was like, I know I do, but like, it's hard. It is hard, that initial first step, but like the relief you get from just that first step, and then you can sort of let it all out and get it all out, and put things in place then, that if you do find yourself teetering towards that again, that you can rein yourself back in and be like, right, I know what I have to do here to get back on track, or not to go down that road again.
It's just them tools, isn't it? And then I was talking as well before about the wee chimp, because you do get it, like the coming back in and saying to yourself you're not good enough and you're useless and all this here, it's your fault, and you're blaming yourself for things, like, and it's just being able to grow within yourself to say, do you know what, not today, mate. I'm getting on with my life.
I know,
like.
and knowing your triggers, what will do it. Like, you know, I like now, like, I would place a big emphasis on exercise, and not just Gaelic training, but like just going to a gym or putting your earphones in, going for a walk or whatever. So the likes of it helps, like, if you do, like, after work or something, just it's good to get the head shower too, like. Yeah.
And you mentioned something there, like, and it's something that it's something that I've experienced a couple of times in the last couple of years, playing for Antrim, like, too, and St John's, about people saying stuff to you coming out with your story and stuff, because a lot of people can take it up the wrong way, and I've got, like, and I say it all the time about people wanting you to do well until you do well, like, and then they want to put you back down. And I think it's the society we live in, that people always nearly have, if you're out there and talking and being open and honest, and we are, you know, very much out there with our, you know, with no filter really, like, and people want to say certain things, and, you know, but like, the good outweighs the bad. But have you ever experienced anyone saying to you anything on the pitch about like sort of mental health, or any sly comments? Or I
remember just getting a tweet one time, like, as you say, out of all the hundreds of messages of the last couple of years I've probably got, and different conversations, you know, someone tweeted saying, are you still banging on about this or something? But like, in the grand scheme of things, it was like, how many people have contacted me, and not for me to actually help, but just direct them in the right place, or go to the right people or persons. So you always are going to get it, like, but again, it goes back to that of going, I don't really care, like, you know, bar your good friends and family and people that are close to you, matter to you, and talk to you, like, who really cares, like, do you know? And that's why I just treat it the same as matches or whatever, like, you know, you get, like, playing for Antrim, the abuse people have taken over the years as players, and from people that have never kicked the back door, never mind kicked the ball or lifted a hurdle or whatever, and you hear people saying, what's he at, or he's this, that and the other, and I used to say to people all the time, if you ever got it in bars, just go to the trials then. Go to the trials, and if you can do better than what's there, or whoever's there knocking their pan in the same amount of days a week as Tyrone football or Limerick hurling, then go then and show us it, like. You know, don't be going at people that are putting themselves there in the spotlight to try and do better for themselves and their clubs and whatever, like. So I just don't pay any attention to it, like. But on the pitch, like, no one said anything, like, you know, if anything, it's probably, I don't know if it mellowed me a bit, but I always enjoyed, like, I enjoy doing the nets, and like, people always be like, oh, you're a chirper, you're a slabber, but I said a couple of people, like, that know me, like, would be like, it was complete distraction tactics. You know, if a talented full forward or corner forward was spending more time looking at me or being annoyed at how loud I am, then I was winning then. Do you know? 100%. Do you know? Because if the ball's getting kicked in, our full back or our cornerback's going to be involved, like, and they're going to have a head start. But like, there was never a line where it was like, you know, it was never crossed, like, and if anything, people probably were coming up after and just saying, like, you know, fair play for what you done, like, you know. So I think it's when people come to you and say they're struggling and they ask for help or where to go or whatever it may be, and it's not the GPA, or they don't have the access to like what we had as county players or have as county players, and they'd come back to you and they'd be like, look, that was a big help. I went and got X, Y, and Z, or I got him help or her help. Then it makes it all the worthwhile. Like
100%, I totally agree with you. But like I have experienced that, and that's why I did ask you. Like I remember, I'll not say who it was for, club or county, who it was against. Like, but even coming onto the pitch, I came on as a sub, and one of the opposition players like was put straight on to me, like, and he was sort of, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" And I was like, "What?" He was like, "This isn't a rehab centre," and I was like, I didn't know what way to react, you know. That's and then it's happened another couple of times about people saying to me about like, why don't you go away back on the drink and stuff. But I like, as you say, you can take it one way or another. And I actually turned around to one of the boys, the second person, who said, "It's funny, you know who I am and I don't know who you are," you know, and sort of put it back on his. Yeah. But and maybe I shouldn't have reacted like that. I don't know, but I think that,
or he'd be the one drowning the sorrows when they get beat or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, as you say, like the amount of messages you get and the amount of people you guide in the right direction to get help and stuff, and like that makes it all worthwhile. And the amount of people who have went to sort of rehab on the back of sort of coming out and opening up, like that's my sort of that's my why. I feel like not as you say, someone who's sitting there who's never done it or never experienced it, who
hasn't walked a day in your shoes, like.
Yeah, so that's it to say, other people's opinion, you should be none of your business, really. Like, so.
Exactly. Who cares?
Yeah, and then like going on, like, and you've had another few obstacles, I feel like, coming into even during your county career. Like, I think it's 2 years to the day since you got your second ACL operation. You know, something that I'm trying to come to terms with at the minute. Like, after missing the whole club championship, waiting on an operation of my foot, like, and with the county starting back, I'm sort of in a bit of a lull at the minute, I feel like. And I was looking forward to talking to you about this, to be honest. Like, so what describe to me, even like, we'll go to the first ACL rupture, is that right?
Yeah.
How that happened and how it, I suppose, affected you and your mental health, like.
Yeah. So it was like in 2019, I'd sort of decided to maybe step away from Antrim for a bit too. And then it was that year, like, it was like, just because I'd done it for so long, it was just like I just wanted to, like, you know, go to the gym 2 minutes from the house. I wanted to go to club training 2 minutes from the house. I wanted just I didn't want to do the travelling and the commuting and driving all over the country, like, so. And it was, to be fair, at that stage, it was probably as well as I'd ever been going. I just felt fresher, probably a wee bit older too, like, that I needed it. Was going really well that year with St. Gall's. And it was just during a league match against Craigan. Went to block a lad, can't remember who it was now. And he dummied back onto his left foot. He was on his right, I went to block it, and he went back the other way. My left leg sort of gave way, and I just felt this crunching sensation that anyone that's done it will, like the noise, but still live. Like, I could picture the noise still now. Like, that was 3 years ago, the first one, and the noise of it. I was just like, I felt something bad. I nearly seen it sort of from the side, it happening. And then the noise of it, I thought my leg, I thought the feeling of it, I thought the lower leg had came away. And, you know, you were in a daze. I bit a hold of my gum shield at the time too. It was that sore, but, like, I'd never done anything, but, like, I was always thinking, I'm in nets here, there's no way I'm doing my cruise shit. Like, I'll do any other injury, probably like your ankle, or I've done my ankle, you know, as everyone does, like, or your shoulder doing nets or whatever. But I always thought, well, that's one I'll never get, like, because you have to be out the pitch for that. I always just have in my head, you have to be out the pitch, you have to be in the middle of it, you have to be twisting, turning, blah blah. But I always had in my head, you had to be emptied. You know, it had to be a big impact, like someone like you just sailed into you or whatever, like, it fall forward. Not that you haven't done that before anyway, but I just assumed it was something like that. But, like, how innocuous it can happen is what baffles, and how long you're out for. So I went to A&E straight away, get an X-ray, no break in the knee or fractured kneecap, all good, but the knee was just not moving. And the next day it was out, like, it swole out in the pap, as they say, like, and then it's weird, like, within 48 hours the pain just went. So I think it's pretty common. So the pain went in it, and I was like, I definitely haven't done this and all, and you're icing it like mad, and it's starting to get a wee bit of movement. I was like, maybe I've just, like, twisted it or something, because there's no real, like, because the pain was away. I was like, maybe it's not that bad. And then I got an MRI, went to Chris Connolly in the Ulster Independent, Belfast Knee Clinic, and, like, I went to a couple of physios, St. Gall's doctor, Mark McCrory and all, who all know their stuff and would trust them in my life. And they were all doing the tests on the do with the knee, like, see if it'll come away. And they were like, I think you might have done your cartilage, and people were saying, I don't think you've done your cruciate, it seems intact. And then I walked into Chris Connolly's office wearing a pair of shorts, and he just said, all right, big fella, how's it going? Before I'd even sit down, he says, you do know you've ruptured your cruciate. And I was like, what? And I was like, inwardly going, just check it, like, just do something, like, please, like, anything but it, like. And he's like, I says, a couple ones were saying maybe he done, like, he's obviously seen a million knees, like, and there's me trying to convince him and myself, like, that it wasn't as bad. And he was like, no, you have done your cartilage, but you've done your cruciate too, like. And then got the MRI, seen the results, and he was just like, it's went here, like. So you're just like, initially just devastated. Obviously you're going to be out, just, you know, the timeline, 9 months you hear is the big call for it, 9 months. And then it just how long it takes. Went in with him then 6 weeks later after doing a bit of, like, prehab before the op. Got the operation done. Initially that first time I was like a maniac, 6 times a week, twice a day. I was going to DW in the mornings before work, going to work, bringing extra gear, getting into the pool on the way home, just like walking up and down the pool, floats on. It was a DW at Boucher. And then obviously COVID happened. So this was about 6 months post-op, and I was like, I am hammering this. I missed one match. COVID happened, and I was like, oh, this will be over. Like, COVID will be over by like June, July, or whatever. And then I was back then. I hadn't missed any games, so I was like, this is perfect. Came back, played 2 friendlies with St. Gall's, got myself in really good shape over lockdown. Was out walking every day, running most days, and then just doing the rehab as best you could with what you had in the house. And then picked up like a wee slight quad strain during a game for St. Gall's. Like, it was that first year of the group championships, and then sat like a week out, and then came back to training and tried to do like I always describe it as a really shite version of Sean Kavanagh's infamous dummy. I tried to go past someone like in a pressure cooker, and my foot just slid across the top of the ground. It just, like, in and out, knee went in and out really quickly. Sort of felt something, but it didn't feel like the same. So I was like, I've saved myself there, and all. I was in my head. The rehab saved me. Happy days. Like, I've done well here. But then I went home the day before my birthday. Was actually due to get suits fitted for my wedding the next day. On the day of my birthday, was getting into town with Maria, and the next day my knee was just up and like a bap, and then the inside of the knee was swollen this time, and I was like, what have I done this? Like, this is just temperamental. And what do you call it? Went and got the scan again. I came back, but I'd done it worse. Done the cartilage again. Done the cruciate. Done the medial ligament. I was like, there's no way this has happened again, like, no way, like. And what do you call it, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this rehab and all again, like. So initially I was just like, that's me done, like, I'm not going to play. I'm 34. I'm not doing that rehab again, not doing it. I had a wee book where I was keeping them all. It was 370 odd rehab sessions just to get back to do it again. All these sessions mostly on your own. I was like, there's not a chance I'm doing this again. And then you have to do it anyway. I was like, getting married, you know, having your head, like, if I have kids, I want to be able to run after them too, or kick the ball about, or do a bit of coaching. And I'm doing a degree actually in S&C and all too, so I want to be able to demonstrate any of that sort of stuff, like. So I was like, I'll do the rehab anyway, and then it just takes off again. You're just like compared to like The Godfather Part 3, like, where it's the part where it's like it really should be done now, and it's just like, just when you're out, it drags you back in again. And like, I changed physios the second time, went to Helen McElroy, fella, and her guy works with her, Collie McCrory, who are like incredible at what to do, like. And then it kick-started from there. Like, it was just like, it felt good, was hitting all the right numbers, all the strength was coming back up. It felt more secure this time. He took an extra graft and put it on the outside of the knee. And then next minute, you know, I don't know what he done, but he seemed to have straightened my leg up, so I was kicking the ball pretty well. Like, I was like, what, he's done my other knee here. Like, probably everyone's in goals for years, or like, pity he couldn't have done it years ago. But it just you just get into it again, and it was back playing. And do you say, like, it's funny, it was 2 years today that I got my second up, and then I was able to play senior championship there, play 16 league matches, and it didn't take a fizz out of me, like. So I think as well, the way I compare it is, and just what we touched on before, was like how can, like, people are like, how are you doing this again? And even Maria was going to me like, why are you putting yourself through this? And you're like I've got over worse things in my life. Do you know? Yeah. I've buried my daddy at 26. I was always in my head, he's going to miss big moments in my life. Like, I got married last year, and I have a 12-week-old baby. He's going to miss all them big events. Throughout his treatment, he never quit. Do you know? So this was all my motivation behind this, was like, he never quit. I've got over worse things, and I know I'll get back from this. Like, and the second time I got back, I'm 36 now, and probably this is the best I've felt since before the first injury. So I think, like, I've compared it before, and even on the wee Instagram page I set up, and that was more just as well, just the, like, sort of, you know, I found help by looking online, and if I found, like, a signal online, and if posting something and someone goes, you know what, I needed to see that today, or that's my kick up the arse, and ring a doctor, or speak to my other half, or speak to my parents about a problem I'm having, or someone in work, then that's all it is, like. And it's sort of just, that's all I do with it, like. But I suppose I compare it to the mental health as well with the injuries, is like, you know, if you're taken away from a team sport, you're saying about long-term injury, you're in a lull, you maybe feel yourself getting into bad habits and a bad rut again. But I think once you're use it, like mental health, it's the same as mental health journeys. Like, you know, you might be in a dark place or in a dark tunnel, but like with the right help and the right support from friends, family, professionals, if it's needed, then you can get back and you can recover. Like, and it's, you know, your body, just like your brain with mental health issues, that you can recover and you can get back to where you were before. Like,
100%. I totally agree with you, and I suppose the big word here is you have a choice. Like, you have a choice to, you know, go back down that road you were, like, where you were feeling the way you felt whenever your dad passed away, in terms of like blaming yourself and self-pity and all these different words that, you know, you mentioned earlier. Or you can make the choice to, you know, use that experience as motivation and to push on, like, and you clearly done that. Even like in terms of, you know, doing the physio and doing the rehab and the pool work and stuff, did you like it's a lonely place to be in, isn't it? Like, and I suppose I only started this week, like going to the pool and stuff and trying to do swimming. I suppose for 3 or 4 months there, I was going, I can't do that, can't do this, can't. And I actually woke up one morning and said to myself, don't know, you're saying you can't do all these things, what can you do? Like, stop getting on, I guess. Yeah. Like, so I was like, right, I can swim, go and swim then. Yeah. Do you know what? I've started doing that, and I do feel good about myself. Did you like have just for anyone who is going through like these long-term injuries, did you have like a timetable set out, or a structure, or like or something to go back on, in terms of, because we're so used to having, like, right, if it's with a club you're training Tuesday, Thursday, whatever, match Sunday. If it's with a county, you're training every night of the week. You know, like, so you always have that void that you know, you never really have time. Yeah. You know, and now this happens, and you all of a sudden have loads of time. There's nothing happening. Like, what way did you structure? I
suppose it's as well with, like, and the GPA are really good at that as well. Obviously for current and ex-county players, that, like, you know, it's a great time for self-development. Yeah. You know, I could do it that 9 months out. Well, a long-term injury, that's a school year, really. When you put it like that, I could go and do a night class. I done my sports massage, personal training, my strength and conditioning qualifications, level 1 and 2. Started the degree in it. Just because I'd obviously done it twice and decided to do about 5 things at the one time, but I was like, this will help me with my own recovery, yes, my own thing, and like, you know, you may be able to pass a bit of knowledge on to people too, like, but it is filling that void. But I took it as well as, like, was there anything I was weak at, or was there anything weak that I could make better, do you know, than before? Was it your mobility? Was it your upper body strength? Was it, like, you know, your whatever it may be? It was a good time to, like, when you're doing the rehab for the injury, is there anything else in around it you can make better too? Like, so I think just having that sort of outlook, and then I think during the second one as well, Michael Jordan threw out that the last dance, and there was stuff there that resonated, like, and it's stuff that I would probably do it the more you get older. It was probably more the way, like, as well, like the way St. Gall's went, where everyone was like, oh, they're done, they're this, that, and the other. You know, they're creating. Everyone was saying it, bar us, really, like at the time. So it was like creating them scenarios. He thinks I'm done. Yeah. There's people saying he's done. And he's saying he's too old. You knock it back from that, no way. And even your close mates they don't mean anything bad, but it's still a comment. And I was like, I'll fucking show him, like, you'll see. You know, you'll see. And then I think always in the back of my head, I was like, I never put it to bed with Antrim. And then it came back round again last year that, you know, on the circumstances, goalkeepers left the panel or whatever. But when Enda and Kel and Stevie asked me back in, I was like, I could get back to that level again, and I went back in, and I felt like it'd never been away, and even like body ways, everything, like, so it was like I was able to put the injuries to bed. I was able to put it to rest, and it was like, I can get back to this, and it doesn't matter if you're 24 or you're 35, you know, you can if you want, like, and I think just even those past experiences, obviously completely different, but you know, everyone talks about wanting to be resilient until you have to be it, and I think you can only, like, everyone talks about need resilient team, need resilient people, you know, like, that's proper, like, I feel anyway, like, proper resilience was like where I came from on the passing of dad and that sort of journey and whatever I went on. That's true resilience. That's not lifting a textbook and going, I'm resilient, or seeing a buzzword and saying I'm resilient now. Like, I lived that. I came back from 2 injuries, and yeah, I'll just keep going now until Maria, the wee man, starts shouting at me to get back in the house. Like.
Yeah, and that's class. It was nearly like a full circle moment coming back in my Antrim. Like, and you mentioned at the start there, last question. You mentioned at the start there about what's his name, Andy McEntee. Hope he's not listening. I'm asking him what his name is. Like,
that's you, mate. Just
me,
just
not playing football. But are you closing the door completely?
Do you know, like, he had asked me back, and then I think now that I'm playing in the Armagh Club Championship of a wee man now at 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's like playing, like, not without making me sound like I think the game is easy, but playing is the easy part.
Yeah, it's,
you know, it's like it's everything else. It's like, if training's at 7:30, I would have to leave Armagh at 5:45 to be there to do your prehab, your rehab. Time you're done, dusted, time you get home, you're talking 11 o'clock. It's 5 or 6 hours a night. You know, like, I can't do it. Like, you know, I just know, like, physically I can do it. It's just, it's mentally, it would probably take more out of me than I could, like, but it's one of, like, again, Michael Corleone, like, it's just like, if it came to it, like the guns put to your head, like, how do you say no, like, but at the minute, like, I'm not committing to it, like.
Yeah, no, 100%, and that was a brilliant chat. And now you have a beautiful family now, and I suppose you can be the father to your child that your father was to you, like, and that is another full circle moment, I suppose. Like,
hopefully, like, it's a bit like Mufasa and Simba, like, you know, the Lion King, like. But what do you call it? The only problem is I'm gonna have to go to, like, if he lives in Armagh and he's from Armagh, that I'm gonna be standing in Armagh shouting, "Come on, Armagh!" This wee man, like, so
you can even hear the Armagh twang coming into your voice, like.
Oh no, like, people in Ballymacnabb will say, like, Jesus Christ, who's this absolute hellion that's standing that shouting, Wade, watch a post, like, but it's been good.
No, but here, listen, Chris Kerr, thanks very much. It was a pleasure having you on, like, and great to catch up with you and have a chat. But yeah, a huge thanks again to Mercury Security and Facilities Management for sponsoring this week's episode. Thanks to Liam Cullen and Frank Cullen, 2 gentlemen who are always reaching out to help people in our community. And if you are maybe like a shopping centre or whatever, check out Mercury Security and Facilities Management. They're great customer service skills and all that as well. Like, so no, they're fantastic. And I will see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.